Bill Cosby, the man once sold to us as America's perfect TV dad, is now standing in court, stone-faced, as prosecutors drop new evidence in the Malcolm Jamal Warner murder trial. And trust me, this one isn't a rerun. We're talking about classified witness statements, missing hard drives, and a toxicology report so explosive it could take down more than just Cosby. And here's the kicker. This isn't coming from TMZ gossip or some shady blog. Nope. This is from leaked courtroom footage the public was never meant to see. How did we go from cozy family sitcom laughs to whispered talk of silent executions and Hollywood blacklists? Why did Warner leave behind a journal with the words, "If I disappear, it wasn't an accident"? And why are certain powerful names suddenly deleting decades of photos with him? Something is rotting in the land of laugh tracks, and tonight, we're pulling back the curtain. Forget what you thought you knew about The Cosby Show, because the truth is darker, stranger, and a lot more dangerous than the reruns ever showed you. Alright, let's start with the obvious. Bill Cosby's name has been dragged through more mud than a pair of Walmart flip-flops at a rainy music festival. We already knew about the decades of allegations, the court cases, the fall from grace so steep it could give you vertigo. But now he's not just fighting for whatever shreds of reputation he has left. He's fighting a murder charge, and not just any murder charge. This is the alleged killing of Malcolm Jamal Warner, the same Malcolm the world watched grow up on The Cosby Show. The same kid audiences thought Cosby mentored into manhood. Turns out, mentorship might not have been the only thing going on behind those studio doors. The courtroom atmosphere is thicker than a diner milkshake. You've got reporters elbowing each other for the best spot, social media trolls live-tweeting every glare and cough, and a jury that looks like they've just been handed a season finale script to the most disturbing TV drama of the decade. And, right in the middle of it all, Bill Cosby, sunglasses off, eyes fixed forward, like a man pretending this is all beneath him. But here's the thing, it's not beneath him anymore. This is around him, above him, suffocating him. Let's rewind for a second. Why is this trial even happening? Well, leaked investigative reports, the kind anonymous sources claim were never meant to see daylight, say Warner's death wasn't natural. In fact, those reports call it a targeted elimination, which sounds less like a medical finding and more like something ripped from a spy novel. We're talking toxic compounds in his system that don't just appear in your bloodstream by accident, the kind that require planning, access, control, and, according to prosecutors, a motive strong enough to make someone silence him permanently. So what's the alleged motive? Apparently, Warner had been working on a tell-all documentary, titled Fade to Black, what the camera never showed. Word is, this wasn't just a nostalgic walk down sitcom memory lane. This was an all-out exposé on Cosby's alleged manipulation, control tactics, and the darker side of that perfect TV family. One insider who claims they worked as a production assistant during the last season of The Cosby Show told investigators, "Malcolm saw things you couldn't unsee. He told me once, if I talk, careers end. Maybe even lives." Cosby's legal history doesn't exactly help him here. This is a man already convicted once, accused by dozens, and painted by the media as Hollywood's most disgraced icon. When you pile on rumors of career blacklisting, psychological manipulation, and total control over cast members' futures, suddenly, this murder accusation doesn't sound as far-fetched to the public. And then there's the missing evidence. 2 months before Warner's death, his home was broken into. No cash taken, no jewelry missing, just his personal hard drives that friends claim contained interviews, legal documents, and insurance files he'd been collecting for years. The official police report: no forced entry. Translation: someone had the keys or the connections to get in without leaving a trace. The internet is having a field day. Conspiracy subreddits are piecing together timelines. YouTubers are claiming exclusive leaked voice notes from Warner. And hashtags like #JusticeForMalcolm and #CosbyKnew are trending worldwide. Some fans are heartbroken, posting old clips of Warner laughing on set. Others are furious, saying they feel tricked into loving a show that might have been built on intimidation and control. And then there are the defenders, a shrinking but loud group insisting this is a smear campaign, claiming Warner's death was a sad coincidence being used to finish Cosby off for good. But the prosecution isn't leaving much room for coincidence. They've lined up a chain of witnesses, each one painting a picture darker than the last. One former NBC staffer swore under oath that she heard Cosby say in 1992, If Malcolm ever crosses me, I'll make sure nobody remembers his name. In court, the jury heard about the last time Cosby and Warner were allegedly seen together. Security footage, grainy, but damning, shows the two men in what looks like a heated argument in a parking lot. Warner is animated, pointing and gesturing. Cosby stands still, hands in his coat pockets, face like stone. Defense attorneys claim this was just a chance encounter, an exchange of brief pleasantries. Sure, because pointing in someone's face looks exactly like small talk, right? And that's not the only evidence. Warner's personal journal, recovered from a locked desk drawer after his death, contains entries so chilling they could make your skin crawl. One reads, "They're watching me. They want me gone before September. If I disappear, it's not an accident. Why September?" According to Warner's colleagues, that's when the first episode of his documentary was set to drop. We end this of the story with the courtroom about to hear from the next big witness, someone who insiders say will blow the case wide open and finally connect the dots between Cosby, Warner, and the alleged conspiracy to keep decades of Hollywood secrets buried. And when this witness takes the stand, that's when things get truly dangerous. The witness steps up. The courtroom hushes so fast, you can hear the click of a pen 2 rows back. The air shifts heavy, electric, almost cinematic. This isn't just any witness. This is Darnell D. Brooks, former security contractor for NBC Studios in the late 80s and early 90s. A man with a resume that includes everything from crowd control at award shows to private discretionary assignments for high-profile celebrities. And he's here to talk about the night Malcolm Jamal Warner died. Brooks adjusts the mic, leans in, and drops the first bomb. "I was there. I saw who went in that house. And it wasn't no burglar." The prosecution leans forward like a pack of wolves smelling blood. The defense stiffens. Cosby, he stares ahead, jaw clenched so tight it looks like it might crack. According to Brooks, he was working a private job in Warner's neighborhood, keeping an eye on certain assets, as he puts it. Around 11:47 p.m., he sees a black luxury SUV roll up to Warner's driveway. The vehicle matches the description of one owned by a Cosby family associate, a name prosecutors won't reveal yet. Brooks swears he saw 2 figures exit the SUV. One stayed near the car, scanning the street. The other walked up to the front door like they belonged there. No force, no hesitation. A minute later, they were inside. The kicker. Brooks says the one standing lookout was wearing an NBC security badge, the kind that should have been turned in decades ago. That's not the kind of thing you just find on eBay. Brooks says, smirking at the defense table, just when you think it can't get wilder. An anonymous source, who may or may not be feeding every tabloid in the country, leaks what they claim are sealed text messages between Warner and a close friend in the weeks before his death. One message reads, "They're making offers, big ones. To kill the doc, I told them no." Another, just days later, "They said there are other ways to stop me." Naturally, the defense calls this forged garbage, but the public, oh, they're eating it up like popcorn at a Marvel premiere. Prosecutors then pivot to the financials. Oh yes, the money trail, the part of every scandal that really sells the conspiracy. Bank records allegedly show a series of large wire transfers from shell companies linked to Cosby's business empire to a private consulting firm, one that, coincidentally, dissolved just days after Warner's death. The amounts, $50,000 here, $75,000 there. Enough to raise eyebrows, especially when cross-referenced with travel records, showing certain associates hopping in and out of town at the exact same time. One prosecutor puts it bluntly, "This isn't a sitcom, this is organized." Meanwhile, outside the courthouse, the crowd is splitting into 2 camps. The justice for Malcolm diehards and the Cosbys being framed loyalists. One woman shouts into a news camera, "Cosby's a legend, this is Hollywood politics." While a man next to her yells, "Tell that to Malcolm's family." Security has to step in as the tension nearly boils over into a fistfight. On TikTok, influencers are reenacting the alleged SUV drop-off scene, like it's a true crime skit. On Instagram, old cast photos are being meme-feed with captions like, "Who knew the biggest acting was off-camera?" And then, the bombshell. Prosecutors reveal they've obtained a previously undisclosed audio recording a voicemail left on Warner's phone the night before he died. The voice is deep, deliberate, and chillingly calm. You think you can tell your story and walk away. Think again. September's off the table. The court gasps. The defense objects immediately, claiming no proof the voice belongs to anyone in Cosby's circle. But the prosecution is grinning like they've just found the season finale twist. For the first time, Cosby turns his head toward the jury. His expression, hard to read, it's somewhere between defiance and disbelief, as if he's daring them to connect the dots. His lawyers whisper furiously, scribbling notes like mad. The judge calls a short recess. Reporters sprint out the doors to break the news before anyone else. Twitter floods with hashtag September off the table, trending within minutes. When court resumes, Brooks, still on the stand, drops one last detail. I wasn't supposed to talk. There were people who made that clear. But after what I saw that night, after what happened to Malcolm, nah. Silence wasn't an option anymore. The prosecution thanks him. The defense mutters about unreliable memory and attention, but the damage is done. The jury's eyes are wide. The session ends for the day, but whispers fly through the gallery. There's another witness, someone even closer to Cosby. Someone who, according to sources, has physical evidence linking him to the night in question. And tomorrow, when they take the stand, we might finally hear the piece of testimony that turns this from a high trial into a career-ending catastrophe, because if what's rumored is true, Cosby won't just be fighting prison time, he'll be fighting for whatever's left of his legacy. Tomorrow arrives like a storm cloud, thick, heavy, and promising a downpour of chaos. The crowd outside the courthouse is double what it was yesterday. News vans are stacked bumper to bumper, microphones are shoved into every possible face. And street vendors have even started selling Cosby versus Justice t-shirts. It's not just a trial anymore. It's a full-blown cultural event. Inside, the atmosphere is suffocating. The media pit is packed so tightly, you'd think they were giving away free iPhones. The prosecution stands ready, eyes locked on the door where today's mystery witness will enter, and when they finally appear, the room shifts. To the casual observer, that name might mean nothing. But in the Hollywood backchannels, Vanessa was Cosby's longtime personal assistant, gatekeeper, and fixer. She wasn't just in the room, she controlled who got in the room. And now, she's here, under oath, with a look that says she's been waiting years for this moment. She clears her throat, adjusts her glasses, and dives straight in. I kept a log of Mr. Cosby's private meetings. It was my job. And on the night of September 14th, the day before Malcolm died, he had a visitor. Someone he hadn't seen in over a decade. The courtroom collectively leans forward. Vanessa continues. It was late. Around 10 p.m. I remember, because I had to cancel another meeting for it. The man's name was erased from the official calendar afterward, and I was told never to mention it again. The prosecutor asks if she remembers who the man was. Vanessa pauses, looks at Cosby, then says it. It was Malcolm Jamal Warner. Gasps ripple through the room like a chain reaction. The jury freezes. The defense explodes into objections, yelling about hearsay, about impossible timelines, about media influence. The judge bangs the gavel so hard it echoes like a gunshot. When order is restored, Vanessa drops another grenade. She says that after Warner left, Cosby placed a single phone call to the same private consulting firm prosecutors already linked to the mysterious wire transfers. The call lasted 12 minutes. After that, she says, Cosby told her to get rid of the old files. When I asked what that meant, she says, voice shaking slightly, he said, make it like he was never here. The prosecution asks if she complied. She admits she didn't. She backed up the files to a personal drive, just in case. At this point, the jury is scribbling notes like they're in a college lecture. The defense, they're rattled. One lawyer is flipping through papers, so fast, you'd think he's looking for a magic spell to end the trial. Then comes the moment that blows the roof off the case. Vanessa produces a printed transcript of a voicemail she claims was left on her phone the night of Warner's death. The voice says, the problem is handled. Nothing to worry about. The prosecution plays the actual audio. The voice is distorted, but deep, calm, almost smug. The resemblance to Cosby's tone in old interviews is enough to make the jury's eyes widen. The defense objects again, claiming the recording could be anyone. But you can feel it, the damage is done. Outside, the news spreads faster than Wi-Fi. Cable networks are running wall-to-wall coverage. TikTok edits splice the voicemail with clips of Cosby smiling in interviews, setting it to ominous music. Hashtags like #handled and #Vanessa speaks are trending worldwide. Inside, The final blow lands when Vanessa reveals she has emails encrypted, never meant to be seen, between Cosby and a security consultant discussing Plan B in case Warner doesn't cooperate. The language is vague enough to avoid outright confession, but suggestive enough to keep every jaw in the room hanging. Cosby's face, stone, not a blink, not a twitch. But his lawyers look like they're already drafting an appeal. The prosecution ends the day with one last question. Ms. Carter, in your opinion, did Mr. Cosby have reason to fear Malcolm Jamal Warner? She looks straight at the jury. Yes, because Malcolm knew the truth about him, and truth scares him more than prison. Court adjourns. Outside, the scene is chaos. Fans crying, protesters chanting, media shoving cameras into anyone with a pulse. People are already debating the outcome, and the trial isn't even over. But one thing is clear, whatever happens next, Cosby's name will never be the same again. The whispers are no longer whispers, they're shouts. And whether he walks free or not, the world has already convicted him in the court of public opinion. And somewhere out there, the real story, the one no one's telling yet, is still waiting to drop. So here we are, the evidence is on the table. The witnesses have spoken, and the mask is slipping. But the real question is, do you believe it? Is Bill Cosby the mastermind behind a Hollywood cover-up, or is this just another chapter in the world's longest celebrity witch hunt? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Every theory counts. Smash that like button if you think the truth is finally catching up, and hit subscribe because the next twist, it's coming sooner than you think. And trust me, you won't want to miss it.